Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm brand ambassador Angela Wolf, and we are at your side virtually. Welcome to the party. If you've never been here before, say hi, say where you're from. We are live streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting YouTube and Facebook pages on the Sewing and Crafting side, so I can see all of your comments. Today, we have a great show for you. It's really going to be a good tutorial that many of you have asked for. So we have brand ambassador, brand ambassador educator. I don't know what I call you, Cindy, anymore. Cindy Hogan. She's a combination of all of the above, and our software guru, which, by the way, what you're teaching today isn't really software, but it is MyConnect that so many people have asked for, and I'm so excited to have you, Cindy.
It's so much fun what MyConnection unlocks on the actual embroidery machine itself. It's like having your software program in there for Applique. It's amazing.
It is awesome. So I see everybody rolling in. You can see the routine. You never know, your neighbor might be sewing next to you, fishing, crafting. I don't know. Maybe they'll see us next week, Cindy, at the Houston Quilt Fest.
Maybe. I'm looking forward to see people in person again.
I know. So let us know in the comments if you're going to be there, because we will be there from Wednesday to Sunday. So you'll have to stay tuned on all of that. But Cindy, so last week we saw a little glimpse of MyConnection, how the ScanNCut and the Luminaire are going back and forth. There were a lot of questions. So I'm very excited that you're here today. You can clear up some of the things that maybe they were wondering, but also show them again how this works. And I know many of you said, could you please do this again? Well, here you go. It's only a few days later. Jennifer did a great job with a great tutorial. Now Cindy has even more.
All right, so we're going to start with the basics. Where do you get MyConnection on your machine? The first thing I want y'all to know is that in your box, there's a piece of cardboard. On that piece of cardboard is a connection code. Don't throw any of the packaging away. Go through it, hunt for it, because there's a little code taped to a piece of cardboard in your box. That's the first thing you need to have. And then you're going to take that and go to your sewing machine. So we're going to go to my Luminaire first, and we'll start there. I can't feed you that part of it, but I can show you kind of. Because it will actually walk you through the whole process on page 7, where you do all of your upgrades for your machine. This is kind of like an upgrade for your machine. Once you have the most current update on your Luminaire, and I believe I just updated mine last night, so there's another update out there, but 3.51, I believe, was the update that brought in MyConnection as an option to upgrade to. So I'm going to show you that's on page 7. The screen will walk you through it as you do it. But once you do that, you'll get a page 13 on your settings. So page 13 is what we're going to focus on, because we'll have to do part of it there and then part of it on our computer. So let's start with that if you're ready, Miss Ange.
That sounds good. You want to start at the computer first?
I'm going to start at the sewing machine first, because you have to be there first.
I was just thinking when you said this, you know what? I think I need to go update my machines. I've been using them and not paying attention that the little alert was on there. So,
yep, there's an alert out there telling you that there is a new update. And let's touch my screen and wake it up. So we're going to go into our settings and navigate to page 7. So you'll notice MyConnection is already activated on mine, but you'll have a button there once you've done your update. When you've done that, you'll see that you now have a page 13. Go ahead and go to page 13, and that's where we're going to connect it up to our Canvas workspace. So here you have to touch register, and it's going to give you your machine number, and you're going to go to just follow these directions, guys. And we're going to type in the PIN code. It's going to ask you for this when you're going to register your machine, and this is the machine number you're going to register, whatever yours says. Then you'll touch next. So now it's time for us to go back to our computer and go to Canvas Workspace. So Angela, if you want to share my screen.
Yeah, I will. And I just want to make it clear. The number that you showed there, that was yours, only to you. Nobody else can use that, so don't even try. You're going to have your own unique PIN.
Yeah, mine's already been registered, so you're out of luck, gang. Okay. And it wouldn't talk to your machine. So let's start. This is my desktop version of Canvas Workspace. I want to show you both places. So let's go to the this one. You'll notice your account settings when you log into Canvas Workspace. It's next to the head. When you click on that head, this is the web version. Machine registration is where you're going to go to. And if you scroll down, you now have a new thing, registered sewing machines, and you will register that number that you put in there is going to be unique to your sewing machine. Once you do that, it will give you a PIN code, and that's this number right here. So I need to go put that PIN code back into my Luminaire to connect my machines. If I'm doing this on the desktop version, it's under the Help menu, and you will go to Account Settings. Your account settings will pop up. Once again, Machine Registration. Scroll down, and here is my Luminaire. So you're going to register a new machine, and you'll type in your number, and then it will give you a PIN code. Once you've got that, you're going to go back to the Luminaire. So let's go back to the Luminaire, and let's put in that PIN code.
All right, we are back to the Luminaire.
So there's my PIN code. I'm going to go ahead and touch OK. It's telling me that by doing that, I'm going to be connecting. It's going to do its thing here for just a second. And now you'll see that I am connected to my Canvas Workspace. Once that's done, we can have fun and play. So do we want to start at the ScanNCut or at the Luminaire?
You pick it, Cindy. I love this.
Let's do Luminaire to ScanNCut first. If we touch embroidery, you can take any embroidery design that you want. Oh, shoot, I forgot to bring mine in here. But let's just do a basic one. If we go into category 5, here are some already created applique designs. I'm going to set them. Instead of having to save this to a flash drive, I can simply touch memory, and I get a new key down here called the Transfer to ScanNCut Machine key. Touch that key. It'll ask you if you want to replace the data that's floating out there. You're going to say transfer because it doesn't save anything. It's just a method of getting it over there. And it's transferred to the machine. So let's go to our ScanNCut machine and retrieve it. That one has already, that's a built-in applique design. So it's already set up for transfer. We're going to go ahead and touch our home screen and touch OK. The new SDX 325, which is what I'm on today, and the 330D both have a new function on them, My Connection, on the left side of your home screen. When you touch that, since we are bringing something in from our Luminaire machine, we want to touch Retrieve. And we'll choose the wireless LAN device. And once again, my ScanNCut is connected to my Canvas Workspace. So that's how they're communicating. If I just wanted to do stitch data, I could touch the flower and it would touch everything. But since this is color coded, meaning it has applique material as a signed color for this flower in the middle, we can touch the badge. And you'll notice it just brings up the piece or pieces that are designed to cut out. We'll go ahead and touch OK. And we'll just set it. You don't need to add an offset if it's a built-in or if it's something that you create in My Connection. So you're now ready to cut it out. And it's as simple as that. You would go about your applique the same way you normally would. Any questions, Angela?
That's really, really easy. So you guys, make sure you bring in your questions. I see a handful showing up here, but one of them, just to be clear, she wants to know if this will work with her dream machine. And brother answered her on that. This is between the Luminaire.
Yep. The only machine we have in the lineup currently is the Luminaire that works with My Connection.
All right, just to be clear. All right.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and touch OK. And I cleared my screen, basically. I'm going to go back to My Connection. This time, we're going to select something here to take over to my design center. So I'm going to touch My Connection and touch Send because I'm sending from my ScanNCut to my Luminaire machine. So we're going to touch Pattern, and let's go into our general category. Any design besides Disney designs can come over, but Disney designs are off. You can't bring those in, and it's all built in content. Oops. I wanted to go into our holidays area. So let's scroll down and find something that we want to send. How about we send our little hat here? I'm going to touch OK. I could size it if I want. There are 2 parts to this. I'm going to grab the whole thing together. That's this third option. I'm going to go ahead and touch OK and touch set. And Jennifer did a really good job of explaining the other day that the gray area outside is where you need to keep all of your pattern in. If I have my pattern drugged to the outside of this, you'll notice how it gets light gray. That means it won't be sent. Everything needs to stay in the white area. So we're going to go ahead and touch transfer. I could resize it here if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. So we're just going to go ahead and touch OK, because it's saying, remember that design that we just sent over here? This is going to replace it, basically transferring it. So because that other one is not floating out in the cloud anymore. All right. So now we've got that one done. Let's go to our Luminaire and play with it.
You know, this design, actually, I've used this before, and I love it because it's pre-cut out. It looks great on sleeves, for those that are wondering.
Yeah, this is a beautiful design. It really does. And if you get the 325, that's the design on the front of it. Funny enough. So we're going into My Design Center, and this is where you retrieve the FCM files. I do need to tell you, you can't bring an FCM file in on a USB. It is only through the My Connection function. So we're going to touch our stamp shape key, the circle and the square, and you get a new key up here. This is your retrieve from ScanNCut machine key. Once you touch that, it will find the last design that you just sent, and all of the ones that I've been sending recently are in here. As this pocket fills up, it'll drop them away, but if I wanted to do something else, I certainly could do that. I'm going to go ahead and touch OK. Now, if you're wanting to create an applique with interiors and exteriors, or if you're just wanting to do an embroidery design, you're going to fill it. I'm going to come in here because I know that there were 2 parts that were laid on top of each other. And so if you look here on this left side, I've got a double line there, and that's because there were actually 2 parts to this. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that little line so that I don't have a duplicate line. Oops. Got a little excited there. I'm going to erase that little guy right there and go to the opposite side and do the same thing. All right, so now we're ready to play. You can come in and select the whole thing. So I'm going to grab it all, and you can resize it. So if you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. You can do whatever you want to with it. This is just like using one of the stamps that are built into the machine itself. So let's see here. Let's make it just a little bit bigger. That one's about 4 inches or so, a little bit over. And come in and grab our fill tool. I'm going to go into my properties and grab a color. So we'll make the hat black. And then I'm going to come in and grab the purple. Oops, undo. And touch my purple. I've got an embroidery design, and if I want to stitch it just as it is, I can do that. So it's a quick and easy way to be able to create an embroidery design directly on your machine. I could change my outline properties if I want to, but I want to show you all something else. Any questions so far?
No, everybody's just saying thank you. Patty said she's glad she has a Stellaire. She doesn't have to upgrade right now. Patty.
I'm going to go ahead and touch OK. Now, this is the coolest part of all. When I touch edit, come on, touch edit there. And I touch the applique key. We've always had this button. This is the one that creates an applique around the outer edge of everything. This is the new one, and it's applique patch for selected colors. And what that does is allow you to select the colors that you want it to create the applique from. So I'm going to have it basically I'm going to show you both ways. So if I want it to make an applique out of this one, and this one, and make them individual parts, then I would choose the first color. So when I touch next, I can touch preview, and you'll notice how each of those parts has become their own applique, right? However, I can also change it from a light zigzag. And I'll tell you, I love this light zigzag. You can change it from a light zigzag to a satin stitch if you'd rather have a satin stitch. But if you'd rather have the entire black segment, the whole hat itself be an applique, you can select all of your colors there, touch next, and then touch preview. And the entire area at that point will be turned into an applique. Once you've done that, you can touch next again. And you can tell it, you know, I want that applique, but I think I want my purple to stitch. So touch your purple color tile, turn off that no sew key, and you can actually stitch the applique of the hat with the band on it. Touch OK, and you've got a new embroidery design.
That's cute.
What else can I do? Any questions on that one?
Patricia just has a quick question for you. And I think it's a quick question. She said she bought a design. She bought a design to put it in the machine. And how could she turn that into an applique? Or how do I sort it to cut? Okay.
How do you color code it, basically?
Yeah.
If you have a design that you purchased from somewhere else.
Oops, wrong one. Sorry. There you are.
Let me just touch my home key here. There we go. Thank you. It's just being not liking me today here. So I'm going to go into embroidery and bring something out of my memory pocket. Let's go into Wi-Fi. All right. So we're going to assume this is a purchase design. Okay. And it is. Let's see here. So you want to go into your edit menu and you want to go to your color. And you'll touch the color tiles down through here. This would be the color that you would want to cut. So you scroll down, touch the cut key, and then touch OK. So basically, this color tile right here signifies applique material. And our ScanNCut knows to read that as applique material. So when I touch OK, and I touch memory, and then I transfer this to my ScanNCut machine, it will be ready to cut. Now, I'm going to tell you that particular design is not one that I would use with it because it's got some lines in there that are going to cut unnecessarily, just the way it was digitized. So just letting you know that there are some stray lines going through there that would actually cut.
That makes sense.
But that's, I mean, you just simply color code the piece that you want to cut to applique material. Now, one of the coolest things, if I go into embroidery and let's come in here and let's grab an embroidery design. I'm going to go in here. I haven't played in here lately, so we'll come in and grab a grape. I'm going to set it. And now I'm going to decide what colors do I want to turn into an applique. Let's go into our edit menu. And let's touch that applique key. So I can take a stitch intensive design and tell it, you know, I think I want you to turn these colors into applique for me. And I don't think I want that one, so let's leave that one there. That's got all of my big purples in there. I can touch next. I'm going to leave it at a light zigzag for this one. Touch preview. You'll notice I've got that area now as an applique patch, and touch next. And I'm thinking, well, you know, that's good, but wouldn't it be really cool if it had some color added back on it? Take that no sew key and turn you some back on. We can come and grab a couple of colors. So we've reduced our color count, but we've added depth to it. When we touch OK, it will sew your applique. You'll notice underneath there's an applique. So when I touch embroidery, There's my applique stitch, but it's still going to give me some of those other colors there.
That's really cool. I love that one. Would be really well. That would be nice on a placemat, actually.
That one, it'd be great for a wine bag, a placemat. There's a bunch of things that you can do with it. One of the most impressive ones that I've done, and I actually have it stitched out. I'll just have to go to the other room for a second. I forgot to bring it in here. Is the butterfly that's in here, and I do mean this butterfly is very stitch intensive. When I set it, and when we touch embroidery, you'll notice that there are 992 stitches in it, right?
Wait, do you want to say that one more time? Because I think somebody's their mouths just dropped open. How many stitches?
58,992.
Oh, but it's beautiful.
It is a gorgeous design, but I want to reduce its stitch count. What is my biggest color area? The pink, right? So I come in and touch my edit menu, touch my applique key, touch my applique patch for selected colors key, and then simply pick those two pink color tiles. Oops, not the orange, the pink. I'm going to touch next. I'm going to leave it at that light zigzag because it's going to be underneath other stitches. Touch preview, and you'll see I've got two nice pretty applique pieces. I'm going to touch next and look there. It's done a gorgeous job, but let's say I don't want those white pieces. Okay, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to turn those white pieces off. Select them one at a time and touch the no sew key. And you'll notice it grays that section out. And so I've lost the white on this side. I'm going to touch this one, touch the no sew key. You'll notice it's taking it off on that side. It's a good way to test whether you like a design with a color not sewn or not as well. Go ahead and touch OK, and your embroidery design is ready. Memory, once again, transfer to ScanNCut machine. Angela, you want to talk to him for a minute while I go grab that sample?
Sure. Actually, I'm just
and I want you to see how many stitches are in that one. It's about 30,000 now.
30,000. That's a lot. So I see a couple of you asking questions, technical questions, which Cindy will be back for that. But I agree. Someone just said about the zigzag, which she can't hear me right now. And yes, this only works on the Luminaire, not with the other machines at this point. So, and I don't even know if it'll ever be something different, but I saw some of you asking. So at this point, it is the Luminaire. Hey, Cindy. Oh, look at that.
So this is fabric.
Wow.
That one's totally fabric, but with the overlaid stitches over the top of it. So I reduced my stitch count from 59,000 or 58,000 something to 30,793.
Wow. Do you have an example? Shirley wants to know, what does the light zigzag look like?
What does the light zigzag look like? Yes, I do have an example of that. Hold on a second. So this is that first one that I showed you.
Oh, that's beautiful. So Cindy, hold that up. So that, show them which parts on there, because I'm just looking at it, from here. Show them which, that part is all fabric.
The red inside the center is an applique.
That's very cool.
This is one of the logos that's built into the ScanNCut machine, and this is one of the lace designs, and this is just embroidery. I did not do an applique on this at all. It's just embroidery.
That's beautiful.
I don't know where I've lost I've got one other one, but I've seemed to have dropped it along the way somewhere. Have no clue.
You must have my studio jinxed on you. There's no gremlins today. Today's cleanup day, which means I won't find anything for like 6 months.
Okay, so that one that I just did, the witch's hat, and you want to see a light zigzag, so hold on.
Yes, Shirley would like to see a light zigzag, and I think everyone else would too.
Okay, so this is the little hat that I just did. I just made it huge.
That's cute.
And was able to make, this is done entirely on the Luminaire. There was no software required whatsoever.
Gorgeous.
Okay, let's see here. Can you see that little light zigzag on that?
Oh, yeah. We can see it great. That's it.
I truly love that little light zigzag.
That actually looks like you did it by hand. I mean, not by hand, but it looks so much more, I don't know, different than obviously a satin stitch. But if you've ever tried to do that by hand and you try to get it just perfect, it never looks that good.
You can increase the density on it if you want. You can increase the width of it. I like that look. I think it's a nice, pretty look.
Very cool.
Okay, so how are we doing on time?
We're good.
All right, so you want to see one in action? Let's do that hat and cut it out.
Everyone, I'm sure, says yes. I vote yes. I don't know about you all, but I think that hat was pretty cool, and it's the right season to make that decoration. So go for it.
Oh, well, okay. So did you see that message that just popped? There's nothing in the temporary data to come my direction. That's because I sent that other design over. However, everything that I've already sent is still in my pocket. So I can go ahead and touch my hat and touch OK. We're going to make a mini version of this one this time. I'm not going to make a huge one. But let's go ahead and resize this and make it a little bit bigger. A little bit over 4 inches. How's that? It doesn't matter what color I pick. You're going to choose at the sewing machine what you want to sew, but I do need 2 colors. There we go. Ready? So we're going to go ahead and touch next. I usually will turn my outline off just simply that way I don't have to pick another color later, but it doesn't matter. It will work either way. We're going to go ahead and touch set and touch OK. Now I'm going to go into Edit, Applique, Applique Patch for selected colors. And we're going to select them all. And let's do a regular satin stitch this time. If you're doing a freestanding, I increased my density. And I made my width about 5. Touch OK, touch preview. And we're going to go ahead and touch next. Now, before I do that, let me show you something else, though. Will I get you confused if I do something else?
No, we can follow. It's it's past coffee hours, so we should be good. Well, most of us.
If I touch that second one, I've got to pick a different. I've got to take off a color here. Let's say we just wanted the band itself to be an applique, and we wanted to embroider the hat. This one would be one that you would choose the second option for because it has an outer edge and an inner edge. So that's when you choose the second option. Let's preview that. It's going to tell me it's too wide because I did a really wide satin stitch there. Still too wide. Too tiny and too wide. Let's go a little bit lower here. Oh, I'm changing density, not width. Duh. Put a big red sticker on my head. Sorry. I can go back up on my density here if I want to. Preview. There we go. So if your satin stitch is too wide, this is your key. You're going to change the stitch width. So now if I touch next, you'll notice I have an inside area and an outside area. Now I just have that applique. So if I don't want the black outline to stitch, I would turn it to no sew. Touch OK. Now, one thing you need to keep in mind when you do this is that your applique is always sewing first. So what I did was I touched the edit menu and touched ungroup. Then I can take this and change the order of stitching. So now my applique would stitch second so that the band would be over the top of the red part.
That's
Does that
cute.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and undo and get back to my regular hat here. Let's come back in, applique patch for selected colors, and we're going to select them all. Oops. And touch next. Oh, I want to have the satin stitch this time. And we want it to go around the outside edge. So we're going to go ahead and take this and make it a little bit wider and touch preview. We're going to touch next, and then we're going to turn on our purple band so it actually stitches. So I touched the purple tile and touched the no sew key and touched OK. We're ready to send this over to our ScanNCut machine. So I'm going to touch memory, transfer to ScanNCut machine, and let's go cut it out. While that's cutting, before I do that, let's go ahead and get this started on the machine itself. That way we're multitasking. So we're going to touch embroidery, and we'll stitch our placement stitch line down. And I'm doing this on water soluble, just so we're clear on that. All right, back at our ScanNCut machine. Let's touch the home key and touch OK to delete all patterns. We're going to go over to my connection because we want it to be the exact size that we created it. We're going to retrieve because we're coming from the sewing machine. We're going to touch wireless LAN device. And we're going to touch the applique badge. Touch OK. And just touch set. Guys, you don't have to add any seam allowances to this. If you want to do a front and back, I'm going to touch edit, object edit. I'll add another one to it. And I'll mirror that one. So now I've got my two parts of my hat. I've actually got backing on my felt here. I'm still going to cut it out with a rotary blade because if I cut it out with my standard blade, it wants to cut it more than once. So the rotary blade in this one wins, even though I have backing on it, simply because it only has to go around this one time. You can use your standard or your low tack. My standard happened to be clean. So I'm going to load my mat in here.
It's so quiet. I can hear it. We can't see it, but we can hear it.
I'm going to go ahead and touch OK. Oh, sorry.
I'm like, we hear you.
You can't see anything. We're going to touch OK. And we're going to touch OK again. And we're going to do a background scan so we know where to place our cut files. Now, I do have my density on my image set at light so that I can see it. Okay. It's coming in. It's going to take its time here, but it is super quiet. There we go. I've got plenty of space, so I'm going to move this guy over a little bit. We're ready for it to cut. Oops, I got a little too close. There we go. Touch OK. Please select and cut. I have my rotary auto blade set on fine mode. There is normal and fine mode. You'll see those in your settings. Down here where it says cut mode, rotary blade, fine. Normally it says normal. I put mine on fine because it will do a better job depending on what you're doing. If it's not taking forever, then if you really need precision, go with fine mode because it can stop more on a dime. We're going to go ahead and say start. And we're going to let this cut. I'll let y'all watch the rotary blade do it. So any other questions?
A fun idea, easy project as well. I see some people saying that they're going to go back and watch this over and over and over. And by the way, if you jumped in late, all you have to do is if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and you can go back. You can also save this to your favorites. If you're on Facebook, share it to your page, and it's always easy to watch over, to find them again, I should say, all of these shows. Cindy, that's so quiet.
It is super duper quiet. But you'll notice that what it's doing is it's jumping from place. I mean, it's basically cutting certain angles and then it will adjust its angle. So the rotary blade ring is truly the bomb. Yes, you are correct. It is wonderful.
Irene.
So like I said, I could have cut this with my standard blade, but it was going to cut it 3 or more times. So I decided that it would be basically about the same number, about the same amount of time to cut it with the rotary blade or less than it would be to cut it with the standard blade because it had to cut through the thickness of the material.
Right. Hey, Susie wants to know, will you run those 2 numbers of the new ScanNCuts by her again?
The SDX 325 is the non-Disney model. The SDX 330D is the Disney model.
Okay, thank you.
And while that's doing its thing, let's see if I can cut across a camera or two here and grab our stitch file.
This will be great. And be sure to ask your questions because I know there's a 20-second delay and I'll run them by Cindy.
It's going to take a minute to stitch.
For the rotary blade to come in. Fingers crossed it gets here soon, Patricia.
See, hopefully they'll be arriving soon. Sorry, I didn't mean to get in the way there. I'm climbing over things to get to here.
Climbing over the cameras.
So that I don't go in front of the camera.
It's really quiet though. And you can see the progress on there, how quickly it's going.
What's the difference between the Disney versus non-Disney? It has Disney built into it and it comes with the rotary auto blade kit. So the Disney model comes with the standard mat, the low tack mat, this black standard auto blade, and the rotary auto blade kit with 63 additional patterns. The SDX 325 comes with the standard mat and the fabric mat.
Okay.
And the fabric auto blade, the gold blade. So that's really the basic built-in patterns are the same. You get Disney on the Disney model and you get the rotary auto blade kit. Yes, Marcia, it is felt that I'm cutting right now. Craft felt. So
Marcia wants to know, why would the other blade cut 3 times?
Because of the density of the material, it determined that it needed to cut it 3 times. I did a test cut and it actually cut 4 times. So that's, it automatically determines how much it needs to cut. And so it was going to take basically the same amount as cutting here with the rotary blade. And we are just about done cutting, it looks like. So
here's a quick question for you. And I know there's quite a few people on here that either do not have the new ScanNCut or the Luminaire, but they're trying to figure out, can they do this project on their Dream Machine or their Stellaire? And so when you're finished here, I want you just to touch on how they could do the same project, just a little differently with USB and scanning and things like that.
Okay, so there are my 2 hats cut. Here is my stitch file. And I would simply iron this one on and stitch it down. I do not have an iron on in the room, so I could tape it, I suppose. If we go real slow, I can tape it. Basically what I will do is I will stitch the applique part. I'll stitch this part down. Then I'll do the rest of the embroidery on the front, and then I'll back up and do the covering stitch with once I've ironed on the back. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Because then I can turn it over and just basically cover up the back of it without anything being on there. So here's an example of how I've done that. So there's the back. There's nothing on this back. There's something on the front.
That's really cute.
Okay. How are we on time? Questions?
You're good on time. Just one, well, there's been a couple questions wanting to know how, and that's why I said when you're finished with everything, they just want to know how could they do a similar project like what you have here if they don't have the new one. And so I don't want to touch on that till the end though.
Okay. So we're back at the machine. I would normally iron this down. We're going to live on the edge today. I'm going to see if I've got a stick of glue here. We'll live on the edge if I've got tape or glue. If not, we'll just hold off on doing this part. Oh, I do have a little glue here. I had my fabric glue in here somewhere.
Bonnie wants to know why you can't put both hats on the hoop.
I could, but I don't want to. I didn't want the stitching to show through the back.
That's good.
That's just my personal preference. You can do whatever you want. It is your project. So if you want to do them both at the same time, you can certainly do that.
Whatever floats your boat or makes your broom fly.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat or makes your broom fly or sticks your hat to your head. All right, so I've stuck it on with a little glue. Let's see if we can stitch this bad boy. I'm going to go ahead and skip that next step because I'm going to tack it down. And the first round of stitches that it does, let me turn you here. I'm going to make you stick a little bit here. Is going to be the light zigzag, and I'm going to stop it right after it does the light zigzag. And that's just simply what this one does. This machine, when it does it, it automatically gives you a your tack down over underneath your covering stitch. So this is a really light zigzag that it's doing right now. And once it does that, I'll just stop it and have it trim. So this is one of those cases that I sit and watch for a second. And somebody that's watching has a new pressing pad that's absolutely amazing. Not saying any names out there because I'm not affiliated. All right, so now we've done our tack down. I'm going to go ahead and trim it off. So it's attached. Let me cut my thread and pull it out here.
Hey, did you embroider your sleeves?
I did.
I spy, and they look awfully cute.
I did indeed. So now I'm going to go back over here to the machine. Sorry, I didn't set up another camera. I didn't think we would have time to actually stitch anything today. We're going to fast forward to our purple band. And let's just stitch that out. While that's stitching, I'm going to show you how you could have achieved this same thing if you had a different machine. So we'll let that stitch for a little bit because it's going to take it a minute.
So there's a few other
All right,
questions.
guys. If you wanted to do this, you know, me and that stylist just lose each other all of the time. I hate that. Okay.
Hey, Cindy.
If you wanted to do this same thing, you would do it in a slightly different manner. You would come in and choose pattern, go into your general category and go down to the celebrations. Navigate down to page 2 and grab that file and touch OK. You'd still grab all of the parts and touch OK. You could make it the size you want it here, or you can make it the size that you want it over at the machine. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at this size and press set. Now, instead of cutting, I would draw. I would put my drawing pen in. Got to find one. Now, they both machines come with an air erasable and water erasable. The previous models came with other pens. So I actually have some other pens in my arsenal. If you have the universal pen holder, you can use that to draw with. I'm going to take, here's the drawing cartridge. I'm going to take my black pen and drop it down in my drawing cartridge and put my lid in the top in the handy little hole there for it. And let's take this out and put it in. Well, maybe. There we go. Once you've done that, go ahead and touch OK. Please select, and we're going to say draw. Now, y'all would ask me to do something when I don't have a piece of paper in the room.
Of
So
course,
hold on
of
a sec. Angela, you talk for a minute.
Hey, can you hear me okay? I'm checking. I think Cindy might have lost her sound, but I'm going to double check that when she comes back. I have to send her a note. I love her sleeves too. So Marilyn wants to know, are you increasing presser foot height with the felt? So let's make sure, Cindy, can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay, good. Hey, are you increasing your presser foot height when you were embroidering on that felt?
I did not.
Okay, did not have to. Good question, Marilyn.
Okay, so that's done, but let's go ahead and finish this part up here. I'm going to load my mat in. And it's got plenty of space to draw, but wait a minute. I'm going to back up and move it over just a hair, just so I'm sure I'm in there. Please select, and we're going to draw, and we're going to let this draw out. So we're going to go ahead and say start, and it's going to draw that design in for us. All right, while it's doing its thing, let's come back over here for a sec. So y'all can see that it says finished embroidering, but I am not done yet, right? Because I've got my band there, but I do not have the back on my hat. So I'll take this back over to the area. Am I multitasking or what?
We're following though. This is a fun project. And I just saw somebody say, how can I go back and rewatch? And brother just mentioned either share it to your Facebook page or even on YouTube, you can share it to your favorites to go back and watch. Good project for the month.
Okay, so back at the ScanNCut machine, I need a USB device. Because this is how we're going to do this. You could actually take this and scan it in on your scan board if you want to, because I have it drawn out for you. So you'll notice it's drawn. I'm going to take my cartridge out here and cover the lid, but take it out so that I can put my lid back on so my pen doesn't dry out. Just like you would do any other one. So we're going to go ahead and say, okay, to delete all patterns. I'm going to scan it back in here instead of scanning it on my scan board. You can do either place. I'm going to choose scan and choose scan to USB, but I need to put a USB drive into my ScanNCut. So I'm going to choose scan to USB. I want my settings. Okay, so it's at 600 DPI. I'm going to reduce that. I'm going to take it down to 100 DPI. That's the actual size that it was created at. So we'll go ahead and touch OK. And we're going to touch start. And it's telling me my lever's at position 2. That means it's high. If I really want a good scan, I may want to lower that lever. So I just did it. It's on the left side. We'll touch start, and it's going to scan that in. While that's scanning in, actually, let's go ahead and let it do its thing, because then I can crop it and we'll be ready to go.
You know, Cindy, a few people were asking, and I love that you showed the drawing and the cutting. A few people were asking, do they have to send a file from Canvas Workspace? And I know the answer, but I'm going to let you do this because it was a great question. Do they have to specifically send the file for cut? Do they have to specifically send it for drawing? Absolutely not, because...
Yes, they do, actually, depending on which version of Canvas Workspace they're using.
Really? Because I thought in the machine you can just click cut or draw.
If you're on Canvas Workspace on the web version,
okay,
you can leave it alone and not worry about it, because it assigns both cut and draw to the same file. If you send it from Canvas Workspace on your desktop and you want it to both cut and draw, you need to have a copy on top. One says cut, one says draw.
All right.
Okay. Otherwise, it's going to do whatever the default operation is cut.
That was a good question then. Well, it was anyway.
That was an excellent question.
Good.
So I'm going to once again glue this on, and I may add a little extra tape for this one. Normally, I would just iron it on. But since I do not have an iron in this room, I just got back from a trip. So I may add a little tape to that just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm using paper tape, just like I normally do with anything ScanNCut related. All right, that should be good. So we can put this back in the machine, and we can take our USB drive out of our ScanNCut machine and take that over. And once it's finished stitching, I'll show you how to make it from the USB. Okay.
This is really a fun project.
Back over here, we are going to put it back in the machine. It's told me it's finished, but we know it's not because we know we want it to put that back to the front, right? So let's fast forward to that zigzag stitch again. And we're going to let it do its light zigzag. And when it gets around that, from that light zigzag, I'm going to tear my tape off. And that tape was just a little extra insurance. I do not need that if I iron it down. But since I didn't iron, I need it. All right, let's put my USB in there while we're waiting on this to finish. Oh, hello. Well, we're going to have a purple edging instead of black this time. I've got my thread color.
Do we have purple thread in there?
I can't hear you there. Hold on. And I don't want you echoing. So, all right. What was that question again?
I just said, do you have purple thread in there?
Yes, I have purple thread in there. So I said, oops. Oh, well. All right. So we're going to go ahead and cut. And I'll change it out before we get to the covering stitch. That's one thing about having that light zigzag. All right. So I'm going to take my tape off the back side here. The funniest part is I had that nice black bobbin wound. It stuck to my fingers better than it stuck to the stuff. Okay. And let me rethread here. If I can get the tape off my hands.
Everybody's saying I spy. They want to see your sleeves when you're all finished. They want to know what design it is.
It is from a t-shirt remake collection.
Very cute.
And it's got, so I've got, and I need to back up a few stitches because I want to let a few too far. There we go. And it's going to do its covering stitch, and we'll be all done with that. I do not, yeah, I don't have my foot raised. It's the default height. I can double check that though once we stop this. So I can't remember if this t-shirt remakes 1 or 2, but it is, so I purchased the shirt and basically did the embroidery on it. They are very pretty designs. And I wear this one all the time. And I did it on my Luminaire. I may have done it on the Dream, if I had to guess. It's been a while since I did this one. Okay. Do y'all want to watch this finished stitching, or do you want me to just go ahead and go to the other part? I think we need to.
Why don't you go ahead and go to the other part, because we are running a little bit short on time. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Yep. All right. So if you have to stop in the middle of something, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tie off right here. And I would mark down my number, 4473. I'm going to go ahead and trim it. And I'm going to save this into my memory pocket. So on your machine, so mark down your number 4473. I'll go ahead and write it on my project here. Maybe.
That is, that's a really good idea. And somebody might not think about that because usually if the machine turns off, it turns right back on where you want it, things like that. But maybe you moved on to a different project. Writing that number down gets you back to where you were with your embroidery. That's really important.
Yeah. So if I write down my number, then I can come back to it. I saved it to the machine's memory and I can just bring it right back up. So let's go ahead and touch home. There are more steps involved with this one simply because of the way we did it. You're going to touch the image trace mode and we're going to choose line design and scan it. Oh, wait, I didn't want to do that. I wanted out of USB. Oh, I forgot I didn't have it down here. We're going to pull an image from our USB. I didn't mean to hit the scan button. But if you had put it on your scan board, that's how you would do it. We're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and clear the screen here once this gets done scanning. I've got it on fine scan mode too, so it's going to take it extra long. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and cancel that, and we're going to go from USB. It should be in my IMG folder, and let's touch it and see if that's where it is. Yep. So there's my hat. I'm going to go ahead and touch set, and let's return just a little bit and crop it in. So we're going to take it and crop it down to where we want it to be. And touch OK. You can change your outline if you want to here. We can go ahead and choose a running stitch because you have to make 3 parts of an applique. We're going to go ahead and touch OK and touch set. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the machine's memory just so that we have it as we want it. Actually, wait a minute. Let's size it to what we want. So let's go ahead and select it all and resize it to whatever size you want it to be. So let's make it about 4 inches here, which is about 100 millimeters. So that's good right there. We're going to touch OK. And you can see my background is in there. If I want to turn that background off, I can just touch it off. You can tell that I've got a running stitch selected. I'm going to go ahead and save this into the machine's memory so that I have a go back to spot to bring it in. This one you would have, we can go ahead and put color in our band. So let me come in and touch the band. Grab a color. And touch next. And we're going to touch set. Because we're creating an applique, correct? So the first thing that it would, actually, I didn't need to have anything in there, the first one. So after it does its placement, let's go back and add here. We need just our basic shape first. So my design center, and I can reorganize this out of the memory pocket. Here it is. We're going to have to do this part anyhow. So we're going to come in and take our eraser and get rid of this.
It's like coloring on the screen or not coloring.
Or not coloring, yes. We're just going to take that out. I could use my multiple selection key, but even if you don't have any of the upgrades, you can do the eraser. So that's why I chose that one. So this would be my actual placement stitch, and this is what I should have sent first. I'm going to put it in the memory so that I have it. So you can see I've got 2 of them here. If you have the last upgrade, we can go ahead and move it first. So now that's our placement stitch. To color code that, you're going to touch the thread spool, touch the scissors. That's what I want to cut. Go ahead and touch OK. Now we need to add our covering stitch. My design center, that same one that we just used out of the pocket here. The one with no fill, we'll touch OK. Change that outline to a zigzag, which is what it's showing right there. We're going to go ahead and touch the paint bucket and touch that. Touch next. If you want a wide zigzag, come in here and increase your zigzag width to about 5 is what I had the other one at. I think I did 4.5. Touch OK. And touch set. And there's your embroidery design. There's more steps. And you do have to keep in mind what you're doing, because you saw how I forgot to do that one first. But it can be done. You just can't bring an FCM file in unless you have my connection.
That's very cool.
So how do I get back into my spot? Embroidery, out of the pocket. And it is this one, right? 4473. So we're going to go ahead and touch embroidery. And we are going to go to the plus minus. I know that I'm on that color. So now we can watch up here. We can go forward. 44. $78. So let's back down. That's my stitch number. That doesn't actually, oh, I wrote the wrong number down. Fiddle-dee-dee. All right, so we can figure this out a little easier. Let's just watch it stitch here. I know that it's going to go at least 1,000 around the first time. Oh, too far. All right, I'm good. So I'm going to use that tie off button again. And go ahead and start it back up. So now we're back into our spot. It's going to finish up our applique. I'm going to go ahead and stop it and come back and answer questions.
Very cool. All right. So a lot of people are just saying, thank you for a great tutorial. They're looking forward to coming back. Totally off topic. Someone wants to know if you had to open your sleeves in order to embroider them.
Yes. Actually, I did 2 shirts with 2 different patterns, and I had to open them. And the first one I wasn't paying attention to, and so it's basically just long short sleeves because I got it wrapped in the foot. I wasn't paying attention.
That's awesome. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you. They're going to go back to watch this great tutorial. Cindy, that really was a great tutorial. I mean, and now somebody can go back and follow along step by step. I always encourage people to watch the first time anyways, and then go back and do it. It's just easier.
Yeah. It does, and my connection, really, what it unleashes on that Luminaire is truly amazing. That applique key, and it does just, it's spot on. You don't have to add any offsets. You don't have to add anything to it. It is perfect. Yeah. So I really do encourage you to play with it, but really make sure that the first things first, you have to register the machine. So go to page 7. And basically activate your My Connection, and don't throw away any of the packaging in your box, because you may throw away your My Connection key, and you know that's a bob. That would be a problem.
Absolutely. Does tie off do the same thing as hitting the needle up and down a couple times?
Pretty much so, yeah. That tie off is just nice. It just does a nice little job.
Definitely. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you.
So,
hi, Joanne.
Hey, Joanne.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see and learn. I agree, Sherry. And you know, it's funny because the more technical some of these things get, you think it's going to be more difficult. It actually gets easier. That's the best part.
Yeah, that is the best part. It's not a hard process to learn. So, and you know, everybody has their method of madness of doing things. Like I said, I didn't put the back on at the same time because I wanted to be able, I didn't want stitching on the back of it. I wanted clean on the back. But if you want to stitch through, you can certainly stitch through. If you were doing text on the back, you couldn't flip it.
Right.
Because your text would be on the wrong side. So that's the fun. So we are hoping that my connection gets expanded to other machines, but at this time it is Luminaire only.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I mean, this is its first generation, so we're hoping for a lot of things and if you have any suggestions, please let us know what you would like to see included in it. So that was, I mean, it's just really nice.
That sounds great. So by the way, I put actually, let me bring us back out. I put the Brother website, Cindy's website. Cindy has a live show every Tuesday, which today's Tuesday. You have a live show today at 4:30 Eastern?
Yes, 3:30 Eastern. Or 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central, sorry. I was reading a question.
Software Guru, what are you going to be showing today?
Oh, I don't know. Not sure.
Well, then I
haven't gotten any questions. That's my problem.
So you can see that on Cindy's page. Tomorrow I have a show at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday, we are back on the Brother Sewing and Crafting page with Barbara Jones. And she's going to be also using my design center, making coasters. I was like, wait, I don't, but it's something that's specific for the holiday. So you're going to love it. Cindy, this was a great show. And you all be sure to leave questions because Brother always goes back and checks if you have a question, you can't find something. The best way to watch these over is to share it to your page. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, share it to your favorite little folder there. If you haven't done that, I do that all the time. And then I can go back and binge watch on Saturdays.
So Angela, one last thing on if they were doing it themselves, if they had scanned it in and then taken the image over to the machine, they would then save the resulting applique that they created to a USB drive and go forth and multiply. But they may need to add an offset in that manner because it's going to line it up right in the center. Whereas on the applique creator on the machine punches that outline out towards the edge.
Okay, good tip. All right, Cindy, thank you for a great show. Looking forward to seeing you this afternoon. And I also look forward to seeing you at Houston for the Houston Quilt Fest next week. So everyone, yes, thank you everyone for joining us. I know there's a lot of places you could be, but we so appreciate you being with us. And Brother, thank you for letting us take over your page. Until next time, happy sewing and crafting.
Bye-bye, thanks.